Welcome to MojoPlays, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 funny, wacky, and bizarre RPGs. Before we begin, we publish new content all week long, so be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. We've all played the typical RPGs about light and dark, where heroes save the day and friendship is magic, blah blah blah. But what about the RPGs that want to make us laugh? Or just weird us out? Well, these are the ones you should consider playing. Let us know your favorites in the comments. Number 10. Dragon Quest Builders 2. A Dragon Quest game trying to be like Minecraft? You couldn't blame someone for assuming that, and it isn't entirely wrong, but Dragon Quest Builders is actually a fun game in its own right. However, what gets the sequel a spot over its predecessor is its more focused story and goofy humor. Just the intro alone is packed with jokes about RPG cliches, your situation as the enemy's prisoners, and the lives of video game enemies. It's certainly a more lighthearted Dragon Quest adventure, and it's one that's well worth your time. Number 9. Borderlands 2. The Borderlands franchise is known for its over-the-top humor, but of them all, Borderlands 2 stands the test of time. From the way Marcus and Dr. Zed greet you at their vending machines, to Claptrap's overzealous behavior, the game will have you grinning from ear to ear. Although, the best moments are when Handsome Jack calls you up just to talk trash. This guy does almost anything he can to downplay your badass self. Then, there's the countless side quests that pay homage to various other franchises, like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and even Minecraft. Needless to say, Borderlands 2 is one of the funniest RPG shooters out there. Number 8. Pong Quest. Pong? As an RPG? How could you take a game as simple as Pong and turn it into, well, anything else really? Well, it seems the folks at Checkered Inc. found a way. Enter Pong Quest, an RPG where you must venture into dungeons and do battle with enemy paddles using a multitude of balls to drain your enemy's HP. Some effects will make the ball alter its direction, while others reference old Atari games like Centipede and Asteroids. On top of that, it features some lighthearted humor that even acknowledges how ridiculous its premise is. Considering Atari's track record in the last decade, this is the best game they've put out in a long while. Number 7. Hyperdimension Neptunia series.
Neptune, you're getting out of hand. You two should let this grudge go as well. It's getting rather warm in here.
What do you get when you turn various game companies into anime waifus? You get Hyperdimension Neptunia, an RPG series that features various characters representing different studios and franchises. You have series protagonist Neptune, who's inspired by the cancelled Sega Neptune system, Vert, who represents Xbox, Noir serving as the PlayStation representative, and many, many more. As if things couldn't get any more meta, some of the stories told in the series reflect video game topics such as the idea of console wars. Honestly, it's hard to believe a series like this exists. Number 6. FNAF World. Since the first game launched in 2014, it's hard to see Five Nights at Freddy's under any other light besides horror. Before the series began incorporating a bit more humor into its stories, we had FNAF World, an RPG that depicted the murderous animatronics in a more kid-friendly way. Complete with upbeat music and some pretty noisy visuals, it was hard to believe that the franchise was taking such a silly detour. After some disappointing reviews and criticism from fans, FNAF World would receive updates adding in more characters, improving performance and level design, and adding a handful of minigames poking fun at the game's history, sequels, and inside jokes. Number 5. The Outer Worlds.
He used to be your chauffeur, so to speak. Not to worry, I'm told he's a specialist. Dashing gunslinger, one-of-a-kind ship, that sort of thing. You'll like him, I'm sure.
With Obsidian Entertainment earning acclaim for Fallout New Vegas, it was only a matter of time before we saw an original title harkening back to the 2010 title. In comes The Outer Worlds, an RPG shooter that sees players exploring a vast universe consumed by corporate greed and advertising. Doesn't sound so different from our own. Anyways, the game serves as a satire, providing jokes and commentary on the idea of company towns, companies who expect constantly increasing profits, and the prioritization of labor over humanity. While most of the situations are hilariously absurd and messed up, it isn't afraid to get real in some moments. If you're looking for a game as good as New Vegas, The Outer Worlds will not disappoint.
I am programmed to take orders exclusively from Captain Hawthorne. If I accept your orders, then you must be Captain Hawthorne. Do you understand?
Number 4. Costume Quest series. Very rarely do we get a video game that captures the spirit of Halloween. Of those that do, the Costume Quest series arguably did it the best. In Costume Quest and its sequel, players will go trick-or-treating in various locations. Some houses will reward you with candy, while others may house a treat-grubbing monster. Upon entering battle, your homemade costumes turn into cooler versions of themselves. No longer are you a cardboard robot. No, you're a missile-firing mecha. And candy corn? Well, you're a bigger piece of candy corn. Okay, not as cool as the former, but throw in charming music and humor, and Costume Quest becomes the RPG for Halloween. Number 3. South Park: The Stick of Truth and South Park: The Fractured But Whole.
Help! Somebody! I can't hold out much longer! Help!
South Park has had several video game adaptations, but none of them saw the same level of quality as The Stick of Truth and The Fractured But Whole. Both games are excellent RPGs, but both are different subgenres, with Stick of Truth being turn-based and Fractured being a tactical RPG. Of course, what gets both of these games on the list is the over-the-top and absurd humor that South Park fans have come to expect. Really, what else do you expect from an IP that turned Game of Thrones into commentary about Black Friday? If you said time-bending fart powers, or a boss fight against Subway Jared, well guess what? You're right.
Clyde, you are hereby banished from space and time! What? No! You can't do that! Yeah, I can! You're banished and lost in time and space! Yeah, go home, Clyde!
Number 2. Paper Mario series. If Five Nights at Freddy's can poke fun at itself, then Mario can certainly do the same, and there's a whole series dedicated to doing just that. Paper Mario has resonated with fans thanks to its unique stories and cute art and crafts aesthetic. Besides its goofy antics, self-deprecation, and occasionally dark humor, Paper Mario gets bizarre thanks to how each game plays drastically different than the last. Whereas Thousand Year Door played more like the first game and traditional RPGs, Super Paper Mario tried focusing more on platforming. As for Origami King, we saw battles become more like puzzles, and zombie-like origami foes made things very unsettling. At least Paper Mario isn't afraid to try new ideas. Before we get to our top pick, here's an honorable mention: The Bard's Tale. This RPG parody puts you in the shoes of a not-so-noble adventurer. Number 1. Undertale. Honestly, this is the RPG to play if you're having a bad day. Undertale has become a critical and commercial hit since its debut in 2015, and for good reason. For starters, this RPG gives you the option to avoid battles by being nice to enemies. Speaking of which, the foes you'll encounter can get hilariously absurd, from a ghost with low self-esteem to a dog whose neck stretches every time you pat him. Then there's the game's iconic duo, Sans, a smart-mouthed prankster, and Papyrus, a skeleton warrior who dreams of catching a human. Funny, wacky, and bizarre, Undertale quietly became one of the best RPGs to play in the 2010s.
Check out these other great clips from MojoPlays, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos.